Now time for the 7 things you'll be talking about today. Number 7.
That damn Democrat narrative on Kilmar Abrego Garcia continues to have some problems. They've gone to the mat for this guy, but they still continue to hear worse and worse stuff about him. Human trafficking, wife beater, threatened his wife. All these things continue to be pointed out over and over and over again. They're still doing the thing where they're pretending that they don't know what the tattoos on his fingers mean. They're trying their best to kind of salvage this argument, but it's not working. And because more information keeps coming out about how he told his wife that he would kill her, hey, look, nobody can do anything about it. Here's an example. In November 2020, he hit me with his work boot. In August 2020, he hit me in the eye, leaving a purple eye. Now says, oh no, I was lying about the domestic violence allegations because I'm lying. And then we're supposed to believe that. Good for her. Good for him. Good for all of us.
Number 6.
Speaking of people who are defending illegal immigrants, a woman in Fairhope is crashing out on social media. Why? Well, because her husband, a 43-year-old Vietnamese illegal alien, is he celebrating Cinco de Mayo Day? No, because he's in an ICE detention facility. Yeah, she says ICE kidnapped her son. Excuse me, her husband. And her children don't have anyone to help earn money because the illegal immigrant was the sole breadwinner. It was a smart thing you did there. Way to go. I have 2 kids and no job. You're winning at life. By the way, this guy, why was he getting deported? Oh, because he had been convicted of manslaughter in the past. He's been in the country since 1991. He had a removal order, and he was convicted of voluntary manslaughter, false imprisonment, and robbery, and sentenced to 17 years in prison. How he got back on the streets and not deported, I don't know, but they've got him in custody, and we're supposed to be upset about this?
Number 5.
Do you remember when the Alabama legislature was like, hey, I'll tell you this, we're going to ban Delta 8, 9, 10, and whatever the next ones are. And then they said, well, what if we don't ban it, instead we regulate it and legalize it? Well, now they're back to what if we ban it again? On the last days of the legislative session, they are going to try to figure out how to regulate or ban this. I don't know which one they're going to do. They say restrict it, but then again, they're also like, well, maybe we'll regulate it. Then they're like, well, maybe we won't. I have no idea. But what they should do is ban it outright. But what it looks like they're going to end up doing is figuring out a way to sell it. That's not really the best thing for the area, for the state, for anyone. But they're going to try to figure it out that they are going to regulate and restrict it. So here we go again, doing the same thing again.
Number 4.
Huntsville City Schools have a classroom, apparently, where the gay pride flag is flying proudly. That's not supposed to be happening. But it's not just that. They also have a library issue in Huntsville as well. What's the issue? It's not sex this time. It's not that. Nope. Now they're teaching children that racial categories were invented to advantage white people and to justify slavery, colonialism, and genocide. They sorted people by skin, because this is from the book, and said that white people were better, smarter, prettier, and that they deserve more than everybody else. You know, white people have never been a majority of people on the planet, right? Like, we do know this, right? Are we okay? Are we okay? Do we understand this? Anyway, they're trying to do all they can to indoctrinate your children through the government. And there are people fighting back, and it's happening here in Huntsville now.
Number 3.
Uh-oh. Donald Trump has proposed billions in NASA cuts. That's right. Donald Trump wants billion cut from NASA, including, quote, grossly expensive, end quote, Huntsville rocket. President Donald Trump's budget request to fund the agency calls for a phase-out of the Space Launch System, the Super Heavy Expendable Launch Vehicle that is intended to propel humans to the moon. The SLS, which the president's budget request calls grossly expensive and delayed, is managed by the Marshall Space Flight Center. Reports circulated last month that a 20% cut to NASA's budget was being considered. The proposal requests even larger cuts. It seeks an $18.8 billion cut for NASA, down 24.3%. And the SLS is a big one. The White House statement emphasized the request for funding to go to the moon and to Mars and new money for private sector investment. That could impact North Alabama greatly.
Number 2.
Looks like the poll on the lieutenant governor's website, Facebook, I guess it was actually, and a brilliant radio interview that took place last week have pushed Will Ainsworth into considering running for a U.S. Senate seat. Now, Lieutenant Governor Ainsworth had said in the past that he was going to run for governor or run for nothing. That has changed. You're welcome, everybody. I did that. Now, here is where he is kind of considering that. Tuberville's running for United States Senate? No. Tuberville's running for governor. That means the lieutenant governor, who everyone expected to run for governor, no, he'll run for United States Senate. That's what it looks like to me. Steve Marshall's already in that race as well, I believe. Obviously, the wife and the kids, this comes from Ainsworth. We've talked about it. We've prayed about it. They're on board. So there's your information right there.
Now, time for the number one thing you'll be talking about today.
All right, there was a huge jobs report where we're supposed to look at the numbers and say, wow, this is impressive. They expected far less than this. They outperformed it. There are some who are saying GDP, we are down. One of the reasons that is, folks, is the way they calculate GDP. They take into account imports. Well, guess what we saw recently? A massive spike in imports because tariffs were on the horizon. So that kind of skewed those numbers. So the jobs report, very good. The GDP report, actually not bad. But we have a lot of people suggesting we're heading towards a recession. I would argue that the jobs report says that that's probably not true, but we'll see what happens next. President Donald Trump, however, after that jobs report, spent the weekend talking to Kristen Welker. Well, the media freaked out about him becoming the Pope. Yeah, they were worried about him possibly wanting to be the Pope and how offensive that is to Catholics. I speak for some Catholics and previous Catholics, etc., and say not offensive. I'm cool with it. We understand jokes. Come on. We're Catholics. There's been a lot of jokes about Catholics. You better figure it out. Also, he posted a Star Wars thing on the 4th of May. We're supposed to be mad about that. Okay? We're supposed to be mad about that because he had a red lightsaber, which means he's a Sith Lord. Shut up, nerds. All right? That's my take on that. Also, he's going to invade Greenland. Military forces take over the country. He's throwing a military parade. That's really a parade for his birthday, right? We all know what he's doing there. No one's ever had a military parade unless it's his birthday. He's going to reopen Alcatraz. He doesn't want due process for illegals. He wants a hot war on drug cartels. And on the immigration issue, they're rounding people up, causing people to freak out everywhere from Nashville to El Paso and everywhere in between. So huge protest over that. But here's what you need to know. Still winning. Still winning. I mean that's the bottom line here. The stock market, which we were told was the indicator of everything, doing okay. We're seeing it look a little better. China saying, let's go ahead and have a chat. Lots happening in that scenario. We're going to stay on top of all of these, give you some information from that Kristen Welker conversation on NBC News. Keep it locked right here, folks. We got a lot going on. It's the Dale Jackson Show on WVNN.
Get WVNN's Dale Jackson's 7 Things You Should Be Talking About today, right in your email box every morning. Go to yellowhammernews.com and sign up today.